today's episode, we have Dr. Meera. Dr. Meera is the founder of a psychology center called Zoitia, and she has helped so many people with social anxiety. And today, she's going to help you to learn how to be more confident by one, understanding who you truly are, your true essence. And she's going to help you find those limiting beliefs that are really crushing your confidence and how to spot them and remove them and replace them with more empowering beliefs that are going to make you more confident. We got some really amazing stuff in this episode, so let's dive into it. Welcome, Dr. Meera, to the show.
Thank you so much.
So we'd love to just dive, right into this, give our listeners as much value in the least amount of time. So diving right into it, Dr. Meera, at this stage in your life, what is your life's purpose?
I think my life's purpose is to, very similar to just what you said, is to show people who they truly are, and to get people to understand who they are from inside, what is the inner power that they actually have, that they are the true creators of their life, and they have all that free will to create anything that they want in their lives. And this is what most people don't get. And I'm here to actually give people the tools and techniques to see through themselves, to see through their powerful self, removing all those baggages that they may normally have due to life happenings, and help people transform from their inner self.
Wow,
That's
beautiful.
basically
All right, we got a lot to unpack there, but how about we start with, you said you help a lot of people with social anxiety,
Yes.
with confidence, and a lot of that is going to be connecting with themselves.
Yes.
Before we go into the how someone can be more confident, can you just explain or just showcase, what are the symptoms of someone who is lacking confidence? How does someone know if this is an area that they need to improve on?
Right. I think the very one thing that I would say, if you can't talk to somebody in the eye, if you can't give an eye contact, that itself shows that there's something you are wanting to hide about yourself, or you're not confident enough to face a person right on. Another thing is, your hands may be sweating when you speak to somebody, or you don't feel comfortable communicating, so you really just go by what the other person is saying, and you don't really say anything for yourself, or you don't give an opinion to anybody. See, these are the basic things. I think the first thing is eye contact. The person not giving eye contact is what we check first. So that means they are not really sure of themselves, they're not confident, they don't know what they're saying is the right thing to do or right thing to say. A lot of teenagers come that way. So that's the basic symptom. And then it is when they open up to us about how it has been. And another severe symptom is where they don't want to go outside their house. They have this room that they are in, and they're very happy there with their laptop, and they have a lot to talk about their room and their laptop and the world inside the laptop, and they don't really have anything to say about nature or about meeting people or about even going outside their room. That really is a symptom where we can understand that there is a huge social anxiety for this person, and he's not really able to connect. And very rarely he or she may just connect to their parents, but not anybody else. But the person has not realized that, because in the virtual world they're talking to a lot of people,
Right.
and they feel that it's fine. And they feel it's just that I don't like it. It's just that I'm not comfortable doing it. That's all. They use the word comfortable. I'm not comfortable, going out. I just what's wrong in that? Is what they ask. But that they don't realize the beauty of the kind of the differences, the different kind of people that you see out there, and it's so beautiful to even observe people and talk to them and understand what their perspectives are. There's a whole new world there, which is so real. So getting them to open that up is then a task, because they're not even aware that they have this anxiety kind of thing. And then so then it's opening that up, because they're not able to then work in a particular place. Even people who are not able to continue any career, which they're even passionate about, but they can't work with people. They can't even have a colleague, or they can't have friends. They don't have friends. Not having much friends is also another sign of social anxiety, when they feel that why is it necessary to have so many? I'm perfectly okay with 2 people. And I don't need to have anybody else as friends. So the actual thing is they're not even talking to anybody other than these 2 people. It's okay not to have so many friends, but do you really connect to people? So the humane part of you is something that you're not aware that you have, and that there is this real flesh and blood and person that you can people that you can connect to. So these are some of the symptoms that help us to understand that yes, this person is undergoing social anxiety, but is unconscious about it, and they're too happy doing what they're doing, and they're happy to be alone. So this is also mistaken, that what's wrong in being alone. A lot of people say that it's good to be alone and love your space alone, but not to the extent where you don't want to connect to anybody else in the world. So,
and do they call it happiness, or is it more you think just feeling comfortable? Like, is it real happiness?
Yeah, for them it may be happiness. I mean, probably because they don't know how to define happiness. That is their happiness, and they find happiness in that, because it's not that they're alone. They are connecting to something in the virtual world. I don't think they'll be able to sit alone per se and meditate. That is not something that they're saying. But then, why not connect to the virtual world? For them, that is more real than the real world, and that's a fast world. So when that's a fast world, they love that speed. And another thing is they don't get questioned. They don't have to take any responsibility. So when all these things comes, the outer world becomes more difficult to live, because there's a lot of responsibility, there's a lot of questioning, there's a lot of judgment, and to deal with that, why should I even deal with that is the question that they ask. I'm really happy in the space that I am.
It sounds like they prefer that just instant gratification that they can get.
So that's and they get a lot of gratification from the digital world. So they feel that isn't this great enough? I'm really happy in this space. Why should I even connect outside? So for themselves, that's their world. Especially the teenagers. And they are the ones actually who really caught up today, especially after the COVID. They're really caught up in this world, because they learn there, they do everything there. Even learning happens there, because most of the colleges had stopped and schools had stopped, and so everything was online, right? So then they were allowed to sit 24 hours in that space, and that got them. So that is another major reason why social anxiety has become, has really increased. It's really gone high compared to the earlier days, where we didn't have any tools like this. I mean, if you could talk to me, my days, we didn't have something called a mobile. So every connection was with people. And that was a huge space to explore. And we were naturally speaking and naturally communicating with everyone around us. And that was a very, very natural way of being. But today, the natural way of being is not considered natural anymore. So there's a huge, difference in that generation gap.
It sounds like nowadays it's just so easy to pick up your phone, get some gratification, and you feel comfortable. But that's keeping people away from that, deep.
People even say, "I love myself. This is self-love." They even mistake it for self-love. Self-love is completely something else. But self-love is not about being with yourself and being happy with whatever gadgets you have. But then, if I love myself, and that's why I'm able to sit with myself, is what they ask. That's what they say. So there is a huge misunderstanding or misconception about self-love and what is it to be isolated in a room, and so that needs to be opened up. And parents also sometimes are very helpless about the situation, because teenagers don't listen to the parents these days, right? So when the parents are scared also, they do something. So a lot of intervention doesn't happen from the parents, not knowing what the child may end up doing. And as teenagers, a lot of privacy has to be given, so they don't allow them even in the room. So that just increases the issue. Mostly with boys, more than girls, I would say, in India. If you look at India, girls still allow parents to interfere quite a bit, but when it comes to boys, they need that private space, and then parents even give them, but that damages the whole thing.
You mentioned how there's a misconception of self-love, and I think I've heard it a lot recently.
Right.
So what do you define as self-love?
So self-esteem, the word self-esteem is actually self-love. So when I say self-love, it's about, do I take responsibility for everything in my life? It's also self-love. Am I doing things that really serve me? Am I doing things that really are productive for me? Am I doing things that really help me to contribute? So getting self-love from this space is very important, because otherwise you're not, yeah, if this is not what you think is self-love, then you're not practicing it actually. So the point is, if you're able to contribute, you can only contribute if you love yourself, and if you are really happy with yourself is when you can contribute to somebody outside. So that's why I related the third point, I put it as contribution. So if you are a very happy person, then happiness should flow, and happiness should flow to others. And if you can practice that as a person, so self-love is also handling your emotions, handling your thoughts, looking at how positive you are in the day, and by being positive you become more productive. And then ultimately your self-love, so self-love and authenticity goes hand in hand, because are you truly being authentic about yourself? You know, are you really true to yourself, knowing that yes, this is good for you, Meera, this is good for you, this is what you should be doing. A lot of people mistake self-love for, you know, I like this, I like Pepsi, I love myself, that's why I'm having Pepsi, because I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not that what you love is what is good for you. What you love need not be really good for you. You may even know that. You know that Pepsi is not good for you. So I'm doing this out of self-love because I love myself so much. So let me just have a burger and let me have a Pepsi. It makes me feel so happy. So again, it's happiness, and I'm comfortable and I love this, so I'm eating it. Especially when it comes to food. So that's not practicing self-love. I always, tell my clients, so that's not self-love. Self-love is, am I truly doing something that's beautiful, wonderful for my body, for my mind, for my energy? Okay, am I able to keep my energy high all the time? Whom am I with? Am I with people who are giving me a lot of good energy? Am I aware of that? Isn't this what I should be doing if I love myself? So self-care and self-love is from that space. So when so whom I am with, what am I doing in a day with people? What am I trying to get from people or from the universe or from anyone, anything and any situation that I'm in, and how do I want to give it back? Because the life cycle is giving and taking. It is the giver's game. There is a philosophy of life. That is the law of the universe. So how much are we aligned with that? Are we aware? So this dialogue, this kind of a language, no teenager will speak. Because for them it's all the material world things, the gadgets, the food, and that is what gives them a high. Or even drugs maybe, and even that makes them feel that, oh, I'm there, I'm just so happy now, I'm so blissed out. So there are these two worlds where you can, there's a huge distinction between truly practicing self-love and then doing things just out of compulsiveness.
Yes.
Yeah,
I love how you differentiated that. One way I like to think of self-love is thinking about, a loving mother. A loving mother is going to make their kid eat vegetables. Even though the kid doesn't want to eat vegetables, but they're doing it because they know it's best for you. And like you said, a lot of people, they think, let me go, eat that junk food or do this that makes me feel good right now, and they think of that as self-love. But really, that's just self-indulgence, and that's just not truly doing what's best for them.
Exactly. So how aware each person can be is what we open up to people. Are you really aware that what you're doing is good for you, or is it serving you in any way? And what is it to be serving you? What is supposed to be serving you? Even that sometimes people can be completely off, because the world is, the education system that we are in, what we learn in schools is very, very far away from what we are talking now. So children at a very young age are not even given this understanding of self-love. And LKG student is taught to say thank you, taught to say sorry, but then they are not taught to love themselves. So if this is practiced much earlier in life, children can become very, very responsible for themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they can take care of themselves. But that lacuna is definitely there in the system, in the education system, where children spend a lot of time, 14, 15 years of time in school.
That's
so
great.
That absolutely spoils them, or absolutely gives them the wrong side of the picture of life. Life perspective is completely broken there. And basically people think that it's just about marks, it's just about studying something and getting a job, making money, and making money is going to give you happiness. So this is the very normal, conventional way of understanding life. So breaking all that becomes, an important integral part of we as psychologists to give people that that's not it. Today there's a lot of difference compared to the earlier days, but there's a lot of complexity also because there's an explosion of information for children and they don't know what to choose from. So they don't need a teacher today, but there's so much information they don't know what to choose from. So there should be a mentor to help them choose the right things or choose the right information and how is it going to help them. And basic value systems where self-love should be the first thing to practice. So once you practice that, then everything automatically becomes a very effortless process of loving people, being with people. Because if you have a lot of love within yourself, you need to express it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you can't express it on a gadget. You rather express it directly to people. So then you connect. There's an opportunity to connect to people, opportunity to connect to even nature, opportunity to see the very, very beautiful sides of nature, even, being able to appreciate nature in its smallest way, appreciating a piece of plant, appreciating a creature like a butterfly. And how many children, teenagers today really appreciate that, are able to see and feel love for the beautiful nature that's available for us, rather than see all this in a gadget. I really remember one child telling me, he was a 16-year-old child telling me that, I said, do you like to travel? No, I don't like to travel at all. I said, why? Why should I travel? I get to see everything. I get to see all that in the TV. I get to see all that in my laptop. Why to take the effort to even travel and see these things outside? I can see more than that in my laptop. He was a 9th grader. Yeah. So that's how children think today. So hardly any movement, no body movement. They don't feel they're required to move much. Everything's there at their doorstep. The whole world is in front of them, and that's it. That definitely will lead to social anxiety tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because when life pushes them, you can't be there all your life. So this is the time when you're supported, right? 9th grade, 10th grade, you're supported by your family. But the minute that support stops, you're going to really get into depression, not just social anxiety, but that leads to even depression, where you just don't know what to do with your life, and then you're completely stuck. And then at the age of 20, they are on medication, hundreds of medication, and then they become very lazy. And because of the medication, they can't even move, they can't do anything by themselves, they can't sleep properly, and then they come to us again. And then it's a Herculean task to remove the medication and alternative therapy, and then to get them out of the medication, and then get them to have even a daily routine. Like I have teenagers coming to me who can't follow a daily routine, and they tell me, is it even necessary? Why are you making me follow a daily routine? That is to have a system.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So we covered a lot of what social anxiety looks like. The symptoms and all that, what self-love is not.
Yes.
And so on the flip side, before we get into the how again, just wanting to show people what they can get to. What is someone's life going to look like if they feel confident, if they have that self-esteem and self-love within themselves?
Yes. Ideally, once you start practicing this and once you realize who you are from within, and there's a lot of these wonderful emotions that you can take, and once you start loving yourself, you see that giving others is not at all a difficulty. You feel very positive. You feel happy and joyful and peaceful as a default nature. You don't need to get anything to be joyful. You don't need to really get any material thing to feel peace. It's just there. It's your true nature. You realize that your true nature is joy, love, and peace. You also realize that you don't have to take any effort to actually be joyful, happy, peaceful. Another thing is that you become very positive and you become available to contribute to a lot of people out there and to actually live the life of your purpose. You're able to open up all the opportunities in front of you, all your talents you'll be able to explore. You'll be able to feel recognized by people because of this authentic self that you are ready to open up and showcase people. And feeling confidence is the way to contribute also, and the way to show people the way to live. So there's a huge difference there. And feeling positive is a blessing these days. To feel positive in the midst of anything. You become empowered to actually handle any situation in your life. There is no problem situation is what you get. You understand that it's just a situation, it's just a challenge, and I can handle this because I know how to work this out from within. And I have choices. You realize that you have choices for everything in your life. You realize that you're creating it. When you're creating it, you feel that power. Nothing can push you down, nothing can pull you down. You become very healthy, not only in your body but also in your mind. And a healthy body allows you to enjoy everything in life. Once you are in that space, you will start working up for yourself. If you're a very confident person, you would want to go to that gym every day and work out and feel the energy and live in that energy. You'll feel very fulfilled, you'll feel so gratified, you'll feel so satisfied with your life. And you feel there is a purpose to this, and I'm really feeling fulfilled here. So feeling of fulfillment and feeling of true happiness actually unravels once you start experiencing confidence in your life.
Yeah, beautifully said. So when people do this inner work, they can feel those feelings from the inside, and that joy, that love from the inside. So they're no longer looking externally to get it into them. They're no longer needing. Absolutely. They're interacting with the world from a place of wholeness, from a place of abundance. They love, not from a place of need. They love because they have love, and they just express it.
It's already there. Yeah, it's already there within each of us. And also you understand that love is there within everyone. So when you exercise love, you get to experience the same feeling from others because you are in that vibe. You are in the vibe of love, you're in the vibe of joy, you're in the vibe of peace. Everybody will want to come and sit with you and talk to you.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to really go and take the effort of talking and communicating to a person, which is what a person really faces when he has social anxiety. A person who's really socially anxious is very unhappy inside, truly, because they're not able to connect. But once you realize who you are from within, connecting becomes a very effortless process because you have created that energy of joy, peace and love within you to thrive, and you're vibrating in that, and people will just come and sit with you because you're a very joyful person, and that's what you attract. So you attract people of the same kind. A lot of people come to you and then you realize there is nothing to this. It's just being your true way. Being your true self is what helps you to remove social anxiety. So there is this huge distinction that when people get, the shift is actually fast. If you want, you can shift fast. But then there is a need of commitment and a complete surrender to your therapist, or complete surrender to the person who's helping you in that. Like how we help our clients.
Yeah.
So that's what you experience.
Beautiful. So we talked about the before and the after, what people can get to. So just from like a high level, before going, because obviously there's so much details, but just from a high level, what does the process look like? If someone's coming to you, they have social anxiety, they feel this disconnection, how do they get to that place of having that inner peace, inner joy, inner love?
So one is we start very slowly with them because we shouldn't be overwhelming them and judging them also. So one is making them feel that they can just open up and say anything that they feel.
Creating that safe
So we give them a very safe space and say that anything that you say is fine. And here, I'm not going to judge you. Because that's what people experience mostly when they go out. Or they try to talk to their friend or to their parent. Immediately they're judged.
Yeah.
So this is a space we first make it very comfortable for them where they feel that they're not judged at all. And they can say anything. And we completely have unconditional love for our client. We really practice unconditional love for our client, considering that that's what is required. So once we start with that and they're comfortable, we look at body practices, mind practices, and we also look at energy practices. Because all the three together is what brings balance. So they could be highly imbalanced in their body. And I personally feel as a therapist, as a psychotherapist, what I normally try starting is helping them with their breath. Because we all know that breath can really bring you to shift any emotion if you want. But people don't know what's the importance of breath. So from the yogic sciences, yogic perspective, we start with diaphragmatic breathing. And
can you share what that is, diaphragmatic?
Yeah, so diaphragmatic breathing is deep breathing. Like breathing from your abdomen. So when we do that, the science behind it is when we do that, we actually switch on our parasympathetic system. The parasympathetic system is the system that brings balance automatically to the body and the mind. So this is the connection between the body and the mind. So if you want to make your mind calm, you can do it in 5 minutes, you can do it in 4 minutes. By doing this practice, diaphragmatic breathing, where you put one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest, and you breathe in, where your belly, when you breathe in, yes, your belly has to expand. So mostly people breathe only from the chest. They don't really know how to bring it down. So ideally this is done lying down, because then it's easier. And then we get them to breathe up to the abdomen, and then breathe out. So when this happens, when they do it for 5 minutes, automatically the mind calms down, no matter what tension you are in. By doing this body process of breath, you have to come to homeostasis, because that's how the body works with the mind. The parasympathetic system switches on, and then you come to homeostasis. Now how, again, if you have to talk more about it, the breath cycle actually reduces. So we are reducing our breath cycle to less than 20 inhalation and exhalation while doing diaphragmatic breathing.
Per minute, per minute, right?
Sorry?
20 breaths per minute.
Yes, so ideally a human being, the lesser the number of breaths you take in a minute,
Yeah.
okay, the greater your lifespan, and also the more calmer you become. Because when you do that, your parasympathetic system starts working for you, starts getting switched on, and that is what starts working. So all your organs then start being in a homeostasis, rather than if you breathe, if your breath cycle is more than 20, like say, when I take workshops, people tell me, I'm on 30, I'm on 40. So 30, 40 means you're literally palpitating. You're actually already anxious in the body. Your body is already becoming anxious. But actually there's nothing out there to be anxious. You're just sitting and breathing. So when we sit and breathe, and if we check our breath cycle in a minute, and if it's more than 30, 40, you are an anxious person by default. You are already having an inner energy of anxiety without your knowledge, because you've been living that way for a long time. And then your sympathetic system is on. And why was the sympathetic system and parasympathetic system very important for a human being? Because in earlier days we were cavemen and cavewomen, where we had to be always on the alert. So the system is very important. You know, this breath cycle is very important. Today, there is no danger in front of us actually, where we have to keep on being alert. But we are so used to having the sympathetic system on all the time, that all the time we have a tendency to be just anxious and tense and worried for nothing. It's like a conditioning. So many people have this conditioning, and so you see a situation, you can just get triggered because you're already in that space. Yeah, it's not that you're calm and you're looking at something. So this is the first practice that we give everyone, anybody who comes to us, because there is an immediate switch. Immediately you feel it, and immediately you feel relaxed. Immediately you feel, oh my God, this is great. You know, that aha feeling will be there. That is, I feel so calm now. What did you do? Nothing. It's just your body mechanism. So we get people to connect to their body mechanism, which is so powerful, and it is so easy that once you know the science behind it, you would want to do it.
Right.
You would want to do it. Why shouldn't I do it? And it's the easiest thing to do. You can just get up from without getting up from your bed, you can do this. And you can do it at any time. It can even be reversed. Like if you are in a very important meeting and you're anxious, you know you're getting anxious, you can do diaphragmatic breathing. Now if you are, it can go reverse also. What would be the reverse side of it? Like you're not anxious now, but then some situation is happening. So if you're aware, or if you're already anxious, you're already angry with somebody because of something that your colleague did, or somebody shouted at you, or somebody abused you, and suddenly you got triggered. You know, this is so already then your breath cycle would have increased. Immediately you can just switch off from that situation, go to your room or go anywhere, sit there, do diaphragmatic breathing for 5 minutes. You can just switch. Because automatically the body will switch that emotion to a calm emotion, to calmness or homeostasis. And then when you come back, you can see the same situation from a different perspective and act on it, or create a better solution or a better choice to handle that situation. So, or you're having a debt, suddenly there's a fund issue, and suddenly you got messed up, you felt very bad in the mind, and you got very upset. Immediately do diaphragmatic breathing to be okay with it. You can be okay with that. because that's something that your body is immediately responding to by palpitating or by being anxious. So either way it could be done, and you do this every day. Every day we allow them to do it even when they are relaxed, and then when a problem happens, they know that they have to do it. So we do it as a practice every day. This is the first practice that we give every individual.
Yeah,
Very powerful but extremely simple.
Yeah, exactly. It's so simple but so powerful. It's funny you say that. When I first started my self-growth journey, about 7 years ago, when I was overcoming my own social anxiety, that was the first thing I learned, was doing diaphragmatic breathing.
That's the easy, yes.
It's so simple, but yeah, so powerful. And eventually, now it just happens automatically. I don't need to think about it.
Yeah.
I'm just breathing from my stomach.
Yeah, and then it becomes a habit, and then it's like, you don't get tense for anything and everything. In fact, even for tough situations, you feel it's okay, I can handle this. Because you're already calm. You're activating your parasympathetic system most of the time. So you're already become a very calm person. And that's a very powerful thing to get.
Yeah.
And then from that space, communication becomes easier and not so difficult. Yeah.
Amazing. So that's a great starting place for someone, is to just switch where they're breathing from. So what's the next part of the process?
Another thing we give is we start, now this is a body practice. From the space of the mind, we first give them the life. What is life to you? So we just talk to them. What is life to you? Because it's a question that people really can't answer. So let's look at the process of life. We actually give them the process of life. How do you think life is happening to you? You have any idea? Is what we ask. What do you think? Well, it's just happening, right? I mean, there's nothing that we can do about it. So that's a victim stage kind of consciousness.
Life is happening at you.
Yes. So is life happening? Yes. Is life happening to you? Yeah. Life is happening to you. That's what most people think. Life is happening to me. I don't have a choice.
Right.
So we get that shifted. That life is not happening to you. Right? So life is actually happening for you.
Right.
And by you.
Yeah, it's such an amazing shift, powerful shift. How do you get them to?
Yeah, so we give them the process of life. So we say, we're going to just discuss about actually the science of life, which is proved, and we're going to give you that research, which is beautiful, and just look at it, just view it, and see if it helps. So we ask them questions like, what do you do in a day? When we start something, the first thing that you do in a day, the minute you open your eyes, we get them to, we elicit from them, because I need my client to really think. What is he doing every day, and what is the process of life? So there we bring in the process of life from thought, because thought is everything that we start with, and every thought has an emotion, and every thought and emotion then leads to action. This is something that people don't really, they're not really aware of. Everything that you do in a day is based on the thought. I'm talking about conscious life. So we're looking at conscious life. Consciously you're living your life, right? If you have to do something without thinking about it, you cannot do it, right? So we start with thought, we give them the thought emotion pattern. So every thought that you think is what is getting manifested as action. And every thought has an emotion. So you get up, you feel, oh, such a beautiful morning, that's your thought. And if you feel it's a beautiful morning, your emotion is happiness there. Okay, now I have to go to the bathroom, fine, go to the washroom. So you have to think. So the thought automatically comes. And it's just next thought, we're just continuously thinking. But we're not aware that it is the thought that we are starting with. Along with that, there is an emotion. This leads to the action that we do every time. And there is a routine that we follow based on the thought and emotion. Now what happens to thought, emotion and action? Every human being in this world is only doing these three things throughout the day. Thought, emotion, action. Again thought, emotion, action. Again thought. The process is the same. But we are not living the same lives. Why? So we ask them why. We both are doing the same thing. I'm thinking all the time, and then I have an emotion for that, and I do actions according to my thought and emotions. You're also doing the same thing. But are we living the same life? No. Why? So then they think, yeah, why? So, and then we continue. So it's based on what do I choose to think, right? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? And are these thoughts and feelings actually something that contributes to my life, or is it away from my life? Is it empowering me, or is it disempowering me? We're not really aware of that. We just think we're just doing things as conditioned, as told to us by our parents, or as we imitate from our elders. We're just used to that. So that becomes an autopilot mode of working and being. But when we start looking at, yes, every thought that I think is what I feel and then I act, and this is a pattern that I'm following every day. Even that, if I can observe and if I can look at it, and if I can see and if I can choose, okay, these thoughts are good for me, but this is not good. Why am I thinking this? Even if you can do that, you shift.
Right, so bringing that awareness.
You definitely shift, yeah. You will bring in the awareness. So, have you ever observed your thoughts? No. Why should we observe our thoughts? You should. So, the minute you start observing it, you know what you are actually doing to yourself. Because it is the thought that gets converted to life. So, we show them that process. We open that up to them. And then they feel that, even that first day when we take them across, that it makes some sense that yes, I've never observed my thought. So when I say I've never observed my thought, I've just allowed it to come and I do accordingly. That's the most unconscious way to live. There is no consciousness there. You're not really being conscious about how life is happening for you. You're just being very unconscious, just allowing anything to come to you and you just move in that flow. And that's the most unconscious way to live. You think that's going to be a happy life? No, never. Because you're not really conscious, you're not doing anything there. You're just allowing anything to come. So, but do you have a choice now to segregate the good ones from the negative ones? Do you have a choice? You do have a choice. Because you're not the thought.
Right.
You're not your thought, right? Your mind is thinking and you are just witnessing it. So you have all the will and you have all the free will to choose which thought would you want to keep and which thought would you want to give away, because it doesn't serve you. This is a very powerful practice to start.
Yeah, and we use the word consciousness a few times. Just for our audience, what is consciousness?
Okay, there is consciousness. Pure consciousness is what the universe is all about. It's very difficult to put it in words. It is the energy that we are all living with. So when we say from a scientific perspective, it's energy, because we know that everything is energy. We prove it to our clients that everything is energy. Physical energy, mental energy. Thought is an energy, emotion is an energy. Table is energy. The physical things that you see is also energy, right? So fundamentally, everything and everybody is made of just energy. So if you look at this, and energy doesn't have any bias. There is no negative, positive. So this energy that is flowing in this universe is what is basically called as pure consciousness. It has no you can't touch it, you can only experience it, and you can. So that's the fundamental truth of the world, truth of the universe, that it's pure energy flowing everywhere, and the same energy can be taken up by any individual, and it is how you use the energy that creates your life. So once we fundamentally know that scientifically I am energy at the body level, because I am an atom, atom is particles, particles are energy. Everything that I'm using is also energy. So the science of energy is ideally the science of pure consciousness. Pure consciousness is ideally the most subtlest form of any energy. So, and that's exactly who you are. So I get people, when I take workshops, I get people to visualize themselves as energy. If you visualize yourself as an energy source, aren't you unlimited? Then you're not contained in something, you're not contained in a body. So once you agree and accept yourself as an energy, because that's proven. I mean, we can prove it to you. Then we realize that if I'm energy, then what I'm seeing is just the way my eyes perceives it. I am an unlimited source. I am myself an unlimited energy source, and I can create from that space. It's just that I have energy. And I am energy, and what do I do with it is all that matters. So energy can be used in different ways. There is no negative, positive. It is how do I want to use it. If I use it, so it is in the action that I take that I create what I want, and that could be good or bad for me based on how do I use the energy that I have. And that's the reason we need to sleep well, because it is during the sleep that we are completely in the restfulness space, and there is this cosmic energy then filling us up, ready for the next day. That's why next day when you have a good sleep and get up, you're fresh to start with the same energy, with a very good energy, and complete that day. So I would say pure consciousness is nothing but the energy that is available in this universe for each and every organism to thrive and to use. And if you use it well, you create. Because we are all creators. And we're all here to create. So if we know the true essence of ourselves, energy is to create, but energy can either be created or destroyed. Right? It's just there. It's not going to be less or more. It's just going to be shifted to different forms. And you are an energy source itself. So you can create anything you want. So that's the opportunity that you have as a being. So that's why when you say human being, the being is the energy that you are. Human is identified with the body that you are. Of course, you're not the body. You have a body. Yes, I do give this distinction to my clients. You are not the body. You're not the mind either, right? So you're this life itself. So the life itself is an energy. Now in the yogic sciences, we call it prana. So prana is the life energy flowing through your body, because of which your body can move. Otherwise, body doesn't exist without this energy. So the life energy is what you are, is who you are. And you have your mind and your body as two tools. You can do anything with it. If you're a very good manager, and if you're a very good CEO of your company, these two tools will be your star faculties. And if you use these faculties to the best of their ability, you can do wonders. You are going to create the best in this world. So it's you who decide, right? Giving this distinction. So it depends on what consciousness level they are in. So another way of looking at consciousness from a psychologist's point of view is the 16 levels of consciousness from a space of emotion. Because if you are in a fear emotion, you will only be able to talk, act in that emotion. So then your consciousness, the energy that you're going to use is the fear energy, is the energy of that. So we call that as a level of consciousness. So if I have to look at Dr. David Hawkins' research, where there is a map of consciousness, where he used kinesiology. He used the technique of muscle testing kinesiology to calibrate every emotion that a human being takes. So there are basic 16 levels of emotions based on which you will live that consciousness only if you're going to take that emotion. So people who live in the first 8 levels of consciousness from space of fear, guilt, shame, all the negative. It's not that the emotion is negative, it's because we know that when we take that emotion, we wouldn't receive a good life. So it's we the human beings who call that energy negative. It's not because energy is negative. Energy is a pure flow of, energy itself, there's no other word for it, which can be used for anything. But if you use the energy, if you use the fear energy, then it will become negative. It will create a negative life for you. If you use the energy of guilt, it will create that for you. If you use an energy of shame, that is what it's going to give you. Because if you vibrate in that energy, that is what you're going to give and that is what you're going to get. So you're going to attract the same energy, like how like attracts like. You're going to attract that same energy in your life. And you're going to be in this vicious cycle of feeling that this is life. Life is not great at all. And from there, thoughts, from there, belief systems, and from there, life starts manifesting. So when we give this process to them, then there is a bulb that lights up. And then they realize. And then we give the practice, and then we start giving the practices for observing thoughts. So first week is only observing thoughts, and we give diaphragmatic breathing, and we also give deep relaxation technique. That's a therapeutic yogic technique. You'll be knowing that deep relaxation, all the body parts, all the organs can be relaxed. It's normal, the normal relaxation where we relax all the body parts. We give them a guided relaxation. So that is for the body, where it's also connected to the mind. Then it is actually opening this truth. So I think living in the absolute truth makes it very easy for a person to switch. Because all these years they've not been living in the truth. So I believe that if you don't live in the truth is when suffering even comes up. If you start living in the truth, you'll actually see that there is no suffering. Because truth is what is there. And if you can live the truth, then you see through it, and there is no point, there is no thought of suffering there. It is the truth, and there is an acceptance, and then we move forward with that truth. Even death is a truth. So But the problem is, most of us think that life is permanent or everything is permanent for us. There's a lot of permanency feeling, and there's a lot of attachment to material things and people. And we are not in the space of living in this absolute truth that everything is going to go away. Not that we need to think like that and get anxious, but to be in a balanced space of understanding that it's better not to get so attached to anything, but still you can express all your feelings. You can express love, joy, peace with everything that you are in connect with, and experience that balance also, and experience things from others, not getting so much attached that this should never go away from my life. Even you're not going to be there after some time, right? So unraveling everyday new truths is what makes people more aligned to their true self, and then they start living that life. Of course, there's a lot of resistance. It's nice to hear this, but practicing it is again another ballgame, because you're not conditioned to live in this truth. Knowing the truth is great, but living it is again a process, it's again a practice, it's again a commitment, and it is again practicing self-love. So we put the word very clearly that if you love yourself, this is what you should do. Isn't this what you should do? Yes. I shouldn't think negative, yes. But nobody knows. Everybody knows that we have to think positive. But then how do we do it? Right? So then we train people with auto-suggestions, hetero-suggestions. How do you talk to yourself? So self-talk. How would you want to talk to yourself? And are you aware what you talk to yourself? Hey Meera, you're not great, okay, you won't be able to do that well. Are you going to do this? Should you do this? Why are you here? Why are you talking to this person? Most of our self-talk can be very negative. From an anxiety space, from a space of tension. So we open that up. We get people to journal, they write it down, and then we see that story. And then we change the script. Okay, is this true? No, actually it's not true. It's just a feeling, it's just an assumption. Yes, I think it's going to be like this. I feel it's going to be like this. I assume that this is how it's going to be. And all that is very negative. So you can convert all those negative thought patterns, because it's a thought pattern that you're living with. And how powerful is that? That's going to exactly be your life. So whatever you think continuously, not one thought, whatever you think continuously, for a good number of period in your life, is exactly what is manifesting every time in life. Because what you think continuously is what you believe. And what you believe from a subconscious space is what is actually directly becoming life without any default. I mean, there's no time-space continuum here. It's like it just goes to the subconscious as a belief, and the subconscious is here to manifest. So that just happens as life, and then you experience life from that, thinking that you're not responsible, thinking that you're not the person doing it. This is coming from somewhere else. So we open this up to people that no, everything is your creation, and we need to own up that. We need to take responsibility for that. So first day we give them thought, emotion, action process. Second day we give them observing it, and we shift it, and we teach them the art of affirmations. So art of affirmations, I'm sure you'll be knowing about it. So that is, so we give them the science of neuroplasticity, which is actually you can really change your neural track, and you can rewire your brain if you start thinking differently and start thinking exactly what you want and not what you don't want. So we human beings have a problem of thinking most what we don't want rather than what we want. Oh, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have this car, I don't have this house, I don't have the right enough money to buy good clothes, I don't have a good relationship. So everything that you don't have is what you keep thinking. So stop that and start thinking what you want. What do you want? And you just say that. Now, how to say it is again a practice. So there we give them the art of affirmation. So how are you going to say what you really want every day as a prayer? And how is that going to become your life? Because the more we say that, the more we feel that, the more we visualize that, you can see that, of course you have to believe it. So that's the difficult part. Because believing something that I don't have, why should I do that? How is that true? That's not even true. But unless you believe that you can have it, you would really not get it.
Right. Yeah, can you just share for our audience, what are affirmations and the science behind it?
So affirmations is the science behind affirmations is called neuroplasticity. All right, and neuroplasticity is a proven science which speaks about neural tracks being formed in the brain of every human being as we practice every skill that we learn from a child to an adult. So if you want to learn, for example, if you want to learn cycling, you don't learn it in one day. Every day we practice, we fall down, again we get up, again we practice. There are so many neurons getting connected like a wire, like a track, like a railway track. You have neurons getting connected for every skill that you practice in your life, for every thought that you practice that you continuously practice in your life, for every emotion that you continuously take in your life. So something that you continuously do, repetitively do in your life, be it thought, emotion, or even a physical thing, even a practice, like even brushing your teeth, or all these things have become automated for us. Everything that's become automated for you is because you've been practicing that every day. It has created a very strong neural track in your brain where you don't even have to think about it if you have to do it. So that's the science of neuroplasticity. So the good thing is the brain is highly plastic. It's elastic. It has got a good plasticity. It is not fixed. So we have this misconception that, oh, I have a brain, that I'm born with this brain and it's not going to change. That's a completely wrong, that's a misconception. That's a completely wrong understanding. Ideally, your brain is highly neuroplastic, and everything that you do every day is changing your brain every day. Every day it's a new you. So this is the proven science that if you practice, if you understand this science, you can rewire your brain. You can change anything that you have already created for a long time, especially the negative tracks that you've created. So when we look at it from a psychological point of view, it is all the thought patterns, all the belief systems, and all the emotions which are negative that is very strong in a person. Everybody will have some neural tracks that is very, very strong, that has been there from birth, like children who have had trauma, facing a lot of punishments, a lot of harassment from parents, from teachers. So they have a very, very strong negative thought pattern track. When that is there, what happens is they start manifesting the same life even in future. Because the track is so strong that it keeps attracting the same kind of experiences. Now, what we do as psychologists, what we do as therapists is that we rewire it. We give our clients an opportunity to rewire it. So rewiring your neural track, the best practice for that, one of the best practices for that is the art of affirmations. So affirmation is nothing but a positive statement in the present tense or in the present continuous tense that you can say or write. You can speak aloud or you can even write it. And when you continuously say this, like say, I'm enough, I'm fearless, I'm very courageous, I'm confident, I can do this. So when I say this to myself, I'm using all my five senses. When I'm writing it, I'm using again all my five senses. My body is responding to this. My body is also in action. So what happens is when I continuously do that, that track starts getting built up. So I'm creating a new neural track in my brain by saying this very consciously. Now I'm consciously saying it. Most of the negative tracks that is there in human beings are unconscious. It's just there, they're just taking it. You should just take all this negativity, you fill it in as your neural track. It just gets filled up, you're not even aware, most of it. Unless it's a skill that you're practicing. So for both neuroplasticity works. Neuroplasticity is highly used for skill sets. But here we use it exactly for even changing a very subtle thing like thought and emotion, because it's the same process. So once you start thinking newly, you start consciously just addressing what you want. Okay, I need this beautiful house, not I need, I have. So affirmations are, because it is in the present tense, it's like you already have it. So if I had a house that I'm envisioning of, how would it feel? So most people are not able to get through affirmations and create a good life because there are 3 points, there are 3 conditions to affirmations working for you. So first is you may not be believing it, so you just have to keep saying it. So it's like do it till you, I mean, fake it till it happens, you know, fake it till you do it, till you get it. So first is to literally fake it, like, okay, if you assume, and that's the beauty of the human brain. Only human beings can imagine. Only human beings can visualize. Okay, so even if you want to make this glass, you need to visualize it. You need to see it as an image, and you have to say that yes, I can do this. I can make this glass. This is how it's going to be. This is how it's going texture going to be. These are the materials I'm going to use. I can do this. Without that, this is not going to manifest anyway. So fundamentally, that's the same thing. Any scientist would not say that, oh, this is not there. So how do I manifest it? What is not there is not there. But everything that is created by human beings is manifested initially as an image. Without an image, without a visualization, without imagining that I'm going to have this, I'm going to do this, it's not going to happen. So that's the first level. And that's exactly what we tell our clients, giving examples, that if a human being can make all these things created in this world which was never there before, you can create anything that you want with the same thought process, with the same affirmation. So say that you have a house, and you imagine that you have a house, and you visualize that you have a house. And if you have a house, how would it feel? The way that you want it. So the thought, the positive statement in the present tense, as if to say it's already there. The feeling about that is key. Because if you can't feel for that, then getting it manifested it takes more time to manifest. Feeling for it and then visualizing it every day, visualizing it as there. So have it in your virtual brain. Have the virtual image in your brain. Have the virtual image in your brain every day. This is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I want. So focusing on what you want every day. Wherever the mind focuses, there it grows. That thing grows. So if you can focus your mind on everything that you want, but at the same time being grateful for what you have. See, gratitude is again a very beautiful practice that we give, but initially clients are not in that space. So initially we give them the fundamentals of life, then we get them to practice gratitude. So if you're grateful for already what you have, and then you see through this, yes, I am here to manifest more things, and I can grow, and I can become better and better in my life. And if that feeling is there, that thought process is there, and then you create from that space, your life shifts automatically. So this practice is extremely powerful, but yes, depending on what you have been very conditioned to be, it will take that time with people. But ideally, there is a huge switch in the first 3 days itself. First 3 days itself, so many things start changing for them, and we see a lot of shift in people. So art of affirmations is a very powerful tool. But yes, you should have faith in practicing it. It's not like, okay, she told me something, but I don't think it works. So we tell them, you don't bother about whether it works or not, just practice it. You just practice it and give us a feedback. And you tell us, what did it do? And it really does wonders for them. Some clients have really told me in the second day, I don't know, man, but this is like magic. It just, I don't know, I've never seen this kind of thing happening in my life. And we get a lot of, people telling us, because we speak with a lot of conviction. I have practiced this in my life and for the last 15 years, and I've really seen and I've achieved everything that I wanted. So of course it will take its time, and you need to give that time and space. There is a divine time for everything to happen, and I believe if something doesn't happen for you, it's because it's not the right time and you are not prepared to take that. Like for example, if I think, okay, I want to be a celebrity, but am I prepared to be one? Do I have the knowledge? Have I really learnt enough? I remember once when I was a principal, when I wanted to be a principal of a school, because I started my career as a teacher. So when I wanted to be a principal of a school, I used to visualize, and I got it. That was just after 5 years of teaching, which normally nobody gets. And I got it in Bangalore, which is one of the best places to be a principal in. And really I got that manifested. But my husband didn't allow, and he was very, very hell-bent that I cannot leave him and shift, And I was extremely sad. But after another 4 years, another 5 years, and I didn't take that, I couldn't take the job. But after another 5 years, I actually got to be a principal. And then I realized that the kind of learning that I needed, I had to go 4 or 5 years real learning to actually get to manifest being and doing a principal's job. And today I realize if I had taken that job before, I would be a horrible principal. Because I didn't have the knowledge or learning of a principal, I just didn't have the knowledge of a teacher. So everything happens for a reason, there are no accidents in life. And it's about how we are able to see through that as a part of what you have manifested. So everything is your doing. So we get our clients to take onus of that. That everything is your doing, and from today there is nobody else, there is no thing or person to blame, which is also a big shift for them. Because all these years they were blaming their parents or their friends or their teachers or the society or the government. You have a tendency to blame everything else for your miserable life, but then we shift that. Because in the process of life, there is no second person. There is only you, your thoughts, your emotions, your actions. All this becomes your habit. And what you're habituated to do becomes your character. And what your character is what your life is. So this is the process we give them. Thought, emotion, action, continuity creates all the habits that you have, isn't it? And all the habits that you have becomes your personality or your character. And the character that you are showcasing every day becomes your life. So this process is what we give to people in the first day, where they see, and then we look at what do you conclude from this? Is there anybody else there? Is there somebody to blame there? Is there somebody to give responsibility to for whatever life that you're leading? No.
Yeah, you don't take ownership.
Absolutely. So today, dear, let's start taking ownership completely of your life.
Yeah.
So when they start thinking that way, then there's a lot of shift in your perspective. Yeah.
And then just with affirmations, just in the context of, let's say someone is socially anxious and they want to become confident. What are some affirmations someone can start using today?
Yes, so 2 affirmations that I would really recommend. I am enough. I'm enough is because fundamentally the mind should not be resisting you so much. Because when you say an affirmation, certain affirmations like, I'm the best communicator, immediately if you start saying that, sometimes the mind may just resist and say, no, that's not true. You're not communicating to anybody today. Why are you saying this? So the first few days, first 1 week, we just use very fundamental affirmations like I'm enough, I'm powerful, I am courageous, or I'm fearless. Sometimes people connect more to fearless, although there is a negative connotation to it, rather than courage. But I use both alternatively. Sometimes people say fearless, but otherwise I'm courage, I'm courage, I'm courage. So when I say I'm courage continuously, and when I say I'm enough, that means I'm enough means I believe in myself. It's called self-belief. So I believe in my capabilities, I believe in my abilities, and so I'm enough for myself. That means I have all the ability that is required to actually communicate with anyone. So first let me believe in that. So that's a self-belief. So I'm enough is a much more easier thing where the mind will immediately say, yes, of course you're enough. And yeah, so we give them these 2 for 1 week. For 1 week, depending on where they are in their level of consciousness. I always look at where people are from their space of consciousness, the map of consciousness, the research that Dr. David Hawkins, from the space of emotion. What is the emotion that they're always in? There is a level of consciousness that they will display from there. Because that's the energy that they will always talk with, speak, be with, and attract. So once we know that, from that level we give. Some people are really okay. It's just that they're not able to communicate. It's not a pure social anxiety, but they have they're very good to talk one-on-one, but in a group they can't talk. They can't talk in front of an audience. So there is a problem with communicating. But otherwise, yeah, they can communicate. But in a group, if they are outside in a social group, suddenly they can't communicate. But one-on-one, yes, they can. So depending on the level. But for anybody, any person, the first thing to start would be I'm enough. Because I believe in myself, I have all the capability, I have all the abilities, all the talents, and that's enough for me. That means you're not comparing yourself with anybody, you're just enough for yourself. Second is I have courage. Because courage is calibrated at a frequency of 200. And that's the first positive emotion without which you can't raise yourself. You can't actually go high. So I am courage is at only after courage comes everything else. Love, joy, peace is love vibrates at 500, joy at 600, peace at 700. So what happens is you can't say I'm love, I'm joy, I'm peace and feel that energy. The minimum positive energy that a person can feel is courage. It's proved that's way. So we say I am enough and I am courage. So once we bring in courage frequency, then you're ready to communicate, you're ready to connect, you're ready to do something from that space. So I'm enough and I'm courage is what we continuously get people to say. Then yes, after 1 week you become comfortable with that. Once you have the courage to take it on, then there are a lot of personal affirmations that you can give. So we give them a list, one by one. I'm confident, I can do what it takes, I can talk to anyone. I'm a very good communicator, I'm an excellent communicator, I'm a person who can speak very easily to people. I love people. I love people. So it's always starting with I, and then am, or I can, or I have, or I love, I and the good emotions. Everything in the present, I can do this. So every day when we practice this and then we step out, you start creating powerfully. And every day you become better and better at that.
And how many minutes per day would you recommend someone do affirmations?
Okay, if you look at the research, according to neuroplasticity, the minimum time is 17 seconds. So 17 seconds, if I can say, I'm courage, I'm courage, I'm courage. Ideally, you're creating one neural track.
17 seconds.
17, 17. In 17 seconds, you create one thin neural track in your brain. Now that has to become stronger and stronger and stronger for it to automatically become manifested as what you want. So there is no time limit. It's up to how much you are ready to do. So minimum 17 and maximum multiples of 17. So the more we practice it, the more we will see that yes, I'm rewiring my brain, because that's a science. So when I know the science behind it and then I practice it, I realize that yes, I'm changing my neural track, because when you bring in a new neural track, the exact opposite neural track cannot exist there. You can't have completely opposite neural tracks coexisting. It has to grow. So all the negative, all the opposite thought process of the new neural track that you're taking starts fading away, because you're not giving it power anymore. You're not energizing that anymore through your thought, mind, emotion. You're energizing a new thing. You're energizing something what you really want. So that gets less energized and that neural track fades away. So as that happens, you will see that you don't really get affected by social anxiety anymore, and you are now able to truly communicate your true self and showcase that ability of communication that you have. So this is the first step, and then of course later on, of course, they can go for public speaking classes, and you can actually go out there and make yourself better. But initially, without changing this at the brain level, from a neural track level, you can find it very difficult to go like that. Ideally, people say just go for public speaking, just go and meet people. It's not easy. It can be a very difficult process. There is an internal process to do. So this is the internal process is, yes, practicing art of affirmations, understanding who you are, what is your capability, what is the life process, and then working on yourself from an inner level and seeing that change happening. And as you become more, you believe in yourself, as you practice self-love, as you observe your thoughts and emotions, and as you start saying these powerful affirmations, then yes, you bring in the courage to venture out and start communicating. Right? Then you will enroll for a public speaking course.
So that's the next step.
That's the next step. So we don't allow people to just enroll and think that it will happen, because it's very difficult. It's too overwhelming.
So just to summarize, the process so far.
Sure.
First, you help someone to connect with their breathing, do diaphragmatic breathing.
Yes.
Then you just show them fundamentals of life
Process.
and help them look at their own thoughts. Just to get really deep awareness that they're not the mind, they're not the body.
Absolutely.
Just so they can be aware of those thoughts and they start seeing that they have all these negative patterns. Then you show them that it's possible to break these patterns, that you're not fixed because of neuroplasticity. You can actually change who you want to be. And then you start providing them tools, such as affirmations. And because now they realize that they can change, you show them the signs of affirmations, so they start believing in affirmations and they start practicing this. Now they feel like they're in a place where they can start shifting some action.
Yes. You can do it in 21 days. It's not difficult. If see, we tell them that we are committed. I am committed to you. Now, if Alex, you're the person, I say, Alex, I'm committed to you. Are you committed? Because without your commitment, it could be difficult to create.
Right.
Because I cannot say affirmation for you. If I say affirmation,
Yeah.
it will be for my brain, my neural track will change. So the more I do that, that's the way I changed, I think. Because 10, 15 years you teach this, you start doing this every day. We do it every day in our office, we do it with our clients, we do it with them. And we actually literally show them how to do it. So it's like, I'm love, I'm peace, I'm joy. Feel it. The feeling is actually, most people can't feel because they're already dead in that area, at the heart chakra, so they don't feel. So, yes, so that's the thing, feeling will take some time. If it's very severe, yes, then they have to be medicated a little bit, or they may not have the dopamine, the brain hormones will not be working for them if they had a very traumatic childhood, and they lived a very traumatic life where there's hardly any positivity that they could see in their life. In such cases, yes, we will have to help them even otherwise. But most people where there isn't so much of an issue, it's just that the social anxiety has been a problem, it's easy. They can easily switch in. In 2-3 days people switch, and then it's about maintaining that and continuously living that same. So we take accountability with them for 21 days. Because as we all know, it takes 21 days minimum to create a habit. So we take that accountability for 21 days and then we check them once a week after that.
Right.
And then we leave them to be empowered.
So after they start doing these affirmations, they start believing it. So you mentioned a little bit that they have to start venturing out. So
Yes.
can you go
And then we
through that
connect.
process?
Yeah, so when they start venturing out, we connect to them once in 2 weeks or once in a month, depending on how much they would need. And they're always free to come back to us with any questions And with this, what happens is every situation, how to handle every situation in your life is what you become powerful for. Because then it's not just about social anxiety. Now I've started communicating, but then they start having new desires. They want to create something. They don't have a career. There's no passion. There was no passion before. Now there is a new passion. How do I go ahead and create it? So there we give them new tools of how to handle situation. Every situation. So there is communication skills that we can teach. We teach them of what is it to be assertive, what is it to be, what is meaning of assertive communication, what is meaning of aggressive communication, what is submissive communication. So when they get a distinction of that, they start communicating more powerfully. Although we don't get into the nitty-gritty of communication because that's not what we do as a practice. We get them to enroll for public speaking if they want to really do that. But otherwise we don't we just give them the basics. And then it is life situations. Life situations, how do you want to handle your life very powerfully? If they are interested, then yes, then we go to the next level of practice. There are a lot of other tools and techniques. We also teach them emotional freedom techniques. You heard about tapping?
Yeah.
Those 9 points. So people who are open to that, not everybody is open to doing that, but then people who are open to that, we do give emotional freedom techniques. But
can you briefly describe for our audience what is tapping?
Yeah, tapping is actually a process of tapping with your fingers these energy points, or they are called as meridians. So in the Chinese, sciences, according to the Chinese ancient sciences, they call these energy channels as meridians. So they just call it's like acupressure points. So when you tap these points, like there's a point here, there's a point here, there's a point here near the temple, there's a point here. So these are the basic 8 points when tapped can actually create or release a lot of unwanted energy. And it's proven scientifically today, a lot of research papers on this, proven scientifically that it actually helps in reducing the cortisol levels in the body, which is the stress hormone. So by tapping, you can actually release anything that you want to release, any negative pattern that you want to do away with, can be released by actually tapping these points and saying an affirmation. Like if it's just a cold shoulder, then it's a cold shoulder. this cold shoulder, this cold shoulder, this cold shoulder. We tap those points. It's a process. I mean, so you can just, anybody can just check on EFT. It's by Dr. Greg. He's the person who actually brought this to the universe. A very powerful technique. See, when as I was doing it, you can just feel the energy. You can actually feel those who are sensitive enough to feel it. So a person who's practicing yoga meditation can actually feel these points as you do it. So anything that you want, anything like you talked about vulnerability. What are you vulnerable about? Like, what is the things that you are you are very upset with a particular person, and you're very angry with a particular person, and you want that energy to be released. You don't want to hold on to it. So if you want to release that upsetness or that anger or that pain, because every negative emotion is pain. It's pain in the body. We feel it in the body, and you are creating a pain. You are creating a tension in the body. So by tapping at these basic meridians, they are the most powerful meridians where your whole system is getting affected by tapping these 8 points. So one point is here, one point is here, then there's a point here, there is a point here, there's a point here, there's a point here also. Then there is the brain points just below the neck. So here you can just tap. Very simple process. It may look very weird, funny, but very powerful. And there's a lot of text, a lot of research done on this. Another point is this point. And then there is the knuckle point.
And while they're tapping?
And as you tap, you affirm. You can just say this anger that I have with this person. Okay, even though, so normally it starts like this. When you tap on the knuckle, this is called karate point of both the flesh part. So when you tap here, you can say, even though I am angry right now, I choose to accept this. I choose to accept this anger. So when you are accepting it, that anger just goes away. So it's about accepting that you're angry, and that you're touching these meridian points. You're reducing the cortisol level in your body scientifically, and that just releases. So it's an easy way to release rather than thinking, oh, I shouldn't be angry, no, how to release it. So by touching these points, any unwanted emotion can be released. And there is a statement. There are so many statements. I can just say, release the anger that I showed today to Deepa. Release the anger. Release the anger. Release the anger. I can go like that. So all 9 points, that's one cycle. We can do any number of cycles. And the point to this is, you have to measure this anger that you're feeling from a scale of 0 to 10. So right now if I'm at 10 and I'm doing this. So after I do one cycle, you really feel it lowered. Oh, now I feel just 7. Now I feel just 6. And then we can do as many cycles ideally till it becomes 0, or till you feel that it's hardly there within me.
Okay, awesome.
So this is a very powerful technique to release ideally any emotion. So it's called EFT, but you can ideally release anything.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for sharing this. Powerful technique. Yeah, I practice it a bit myself, and I've seen it does work.
Right. It really works.
Thank you guys so much for sticking with us till the end of this episode. If you liked the episode, please leave a review on whatever platform you're listening to. It makes a huge, huge help for us. So please do that. We have some amazing people already lined up for the next several podcasts. So you definitely want to stay tuned for that. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.